My dear students, today we are going to start chapter number 3, which is machine. So what is a machine? We say a machine is a device which can be used to gain in the force or to gain in the speed or to change the direction of the force applied. For these three purposes we use a device, and that device is called machine. The definition is quite simple, you can write in your own words. The machine which is used to gain in force is also known as force multiplier machine. Force multiplier machine. Force multiplier machine. And the machine which is used to gain in the speed is called speed multiplier machine. Speed multiplier. Speed multiplier machine. What can be the example of, one practical example of such machine is elevator, lift, bulldozers, crane. Crane lifts heavy load by applying much less effort, by applying much less force. All hydraulic devices, last year in class 9 you used to do Pascal's law and its application in hydraulic machines. All hydraulic machines are used to gain in the force, where we apply less force and overcome much heavy load. That means all hydraulic devices or all hydraulic machines are the example of force multiplier machine. What are the examples of the speed multiplier machine? The speed multiplier machine is our motor vehicle, bikes, where we have gear system, we gain in the speed. Even the cycle, pedal and all are used to gain in the speed. So such a machine is called speed multiplier machines. And there are some machines such as pulley. Pulley, we have round one like circular disc type of thing which we rotate with the help of some string or the rope and all, which is used to change the direction of the force applied. So for these three purposes a machine can be used. Now you have to learn certain terms related to a machine. Machine is a device which is used to gain in the force or to gain in the speed or to apply the force in convenient direction or to change the direction of force applied. So now terms related to a machine. Terms related to a machine. We have certain definitions. Terms related to a machine. First one is called load. Will denote by L. What is a load? We say the resistive force which is overcome by a machine is called load. The resistive force which is overcome by a machine is called load. The force which a machine overcomes or lifts, that is called load. Load is denoted by L and its SI unit is Newton, because it is a kind of force only. Second one is effort, denoted by E. What is an effort? Effort is also a kind of force which is applied on the machine in order to overcome a load. Machine overcomes the load and we apply force on the machine in order to overcome load. That force which we apply on the machine is called effort. So the SI unit of effort is also Newton, because it is also a kind of force. Third one is mechanical advantage of a machine. Mechanical advantage. Mechanical advantage, and we denote by MA. What is MA of a machine? We say it is a ratio of load to the effort. Load upon effort ratio is called load upon effort. Load to the effort ratio is called mechanical advantage. So mechanical advantage will have no unit because it is the ratio of two similar quantities. Load is also Newton, effort also Newton, so Newton cancels each other. So MA as a result has no unit. MA has no unit. What is the reason? The reason is that it is a ratio of two similar quantities, or we can say it is a pure ratio. What is the meaning of pure ratio? The ratio of two similar quantities are called pure ratio. So it has no unit. Now mechanical advantage, if it is greater than 1, such a machine will be called force multiplier. What I mean to say, suppose mechanical advantage of a machine is 5, for example, mechanical advantage is 5, which is more than 1, then what does it mean? What does this statement mean? So mechanical advantage means 5 is equal to, we write a load by effort. MA value I am putting 5, for example, I have taken example. So load by effort, therefore effort value will come L divided by 5. That means how much effort we have to give? We have to give the effort 1 by 5 times of the load. That means if the load is 100 Newton, so how much effort is needed to lift the load? 100 by 5, the answer is coming 20 Newton. That means less effort. We are giving an effort of 20 Newton only, but overcoming a load of 100 Newton. That means your effort value is less than the value of load. That means a force multiplier machine. Less effort overcoming heavier load. If mechanical advantage of a machine is 5, that means the statement means that the effort is 1 by 5 times of the load. This is the meaning. If I say mechanical advantage of a machine is 10, what does it mean? That means effort is 1 by 10 times of the load. That means effort is 1 by 10 times less than the value of the load. If the load is 1000 Newton, so 1 by 10 of 1000 you can calculate, answer is coming only 100 Newton. So 100 Newton effort will overcome a load of 1000 Newton. That is the meaning. And that such a machine where we give less effort and overcome a heavier load is called force multiplier machine. That is why on this basis we say when mechanical advantage is greater than 1, such a machine is called force multiplier machine. Now when MA is less than 1, when MA, that means mechanical advantage is less than 1, such a machine is called speed multiplier. Such a machine is called speed multiplier, because in this case effort will be more than the value of the load. You have to give more effort than the value of the load, but you will be gaining in the speed. Such a machine can be used to gain in the speed. For example, you are having a piece of stone in your hand, you give much greater effort than the value of the load of this maybe piece of stone or there while throwing. So greater effort than the load, so what is happening to the piece of stone is gaining in the speed, so it is moving faster. Even a cricketer and all, when at the time of bowling, throws the ball with much greater effort, so, and the ball picks up the speed. So such a machine is called speed multiplier, where mechanical advantage is less than 1. That time effort will be less than the load. Now when MA is equal to 1, such a machine will not have any there is no mechanical advantage, it is not mechanically advantageous, it is equal to 1, it is behaving as a force equalizer, but such a machine can be used to change the direction of effort or change the direction of force applied in order to overcome a load. Such a machine is mainly used for changing the direction of force applied. So MA of the machine can be equal to 1 even. So these are the this is mechanical advantage, it has no unit, and these are the important aspects of mechanical advantage. Now the another term related to the machine is velocity ratio denoted by VR. What is this? It is also ratio of velocities, two types of velocity. Here I will be writing velocity of effort to the velocity of load. Symbolically we write like this: VE by VL. This is the value of velocity ratio. We can change this ratio in another format also. Velocity will be distance by the time. So, we will be writing a dE by time. VL is equal to dL by T. T and T cancel. The answer left over will be dE by dL. That means it can also be expressed as the ratio of two distances. Distance moved by the effort to the distance moved by the load. Here we can write ratio of distance moved by effort to the distance moved by load. So, velocity ratio can be expressed velocity wise either, or we can express even in terms of distance, dE by dL, V by VL. Velocity ratio, like mechanical voltage, has no unit. VR has no unit. And what is the reason behind? Because it is also a pure ratio, means a ratio of two similar quantities, two velocities, or maybe the ratio of two distances. So, this is the value, this is the unit for, there is no unit for velocity ratio because of this reason. Now, sometimes the question even may come like this: velocity ratio of a machine is 5. What information does it carry, or what is the meaning of this information? We can check it. Velocity ratio means 5, suppose is given, so write 5 is equal to d by dl. We can write like this, or even we can write v by vl. So, if you do cross multiplication, answer will become 5 times dl. That means this statement carries the information that the distance moved by the effort is 5 times the distance moved by the load. Velocity wise also we can express, we can write a v and 5 times of VL. That means effort is moving 5 times faster than the load, that also we can say. Or we can write this thing like VE is equal to 5 times of VL. That means effort is moving, the velocity of the effort is 5 times the velocity of the load, or we can say effort is moving 5 times faster than the load. This is the meaning of this statement. So, even question may be based on the meaning of the statement, give the meaning of the statement, or what does the information carried by this statement. They may even give the question like this. So, the velocity ratio also has no unit. Same way, if they say velocity ratio of a machine is 10, what is the meaning of this statement? You can write it d is equal to 10 dl. That means distance moved by the effort is 10 times the distance moved by the load. This is the meaning of this statement. Now, the another one more term is there, that is number 5, which is called efficiency of a machine. Efficiency denoted by the symbol like this. This symbol is read as eta, eta. Efficiency denoted by the symbol eta is also ratio of work output to the work input, or we can add power output by the power input. In any one form we can add. The meaning of efficiency means work output by the work input. Whatever work we are putting into the machine, out of that how much useful work is done by the machine, that is called work output. So, that ratio of work output to the work input, out of whatever energy you put into the machine, how much is the useful work done by the machine, that ratio is called efficiency. Efficiency also has no unit. Again, it is the ratio of again two similar quantities, work output and work input. So, it also has no unit. So, there are 3 ratios, one is MA, other one is VR, and the third one is efficiency. They are pure ratios, then that means the ratio of two similar quantities. As a result, they do not have unit. So, efficiency also has got no unit. Another one example of efficiency I can give is, normally efficiency is expressed in terms of percentage. If you change this into percentage, you have to write into 100, then the answer will be out of 100, that means percentage form. Efficiency of a machine is 90%, suppose. What does it mean? That means out of 100% whatever we have put into the machine, 90%, that means 90 unit will be the value of useful work done by the machine. 10% will go as a loss. A machine is 80% efficient. That means 20% is going as a loss of energy, wastage of energy. That means 20% is changing into unused energy, or the energy which is going to the surrounding in the form of loss. That means 20% is the energy degradation, you can say that also. So that is the meaning of efficiency, work output to the work input. What is an ideal machine? Ideal machine, we say ideal machine. Ideal machine is a machine whose efficiency is 100%, or whose efficiency is equal to 1. 1 means converting into percentage, 1 into 100 means 100%. Ideal machine is the machine whose efficiency eta will be either 1 or 100%. That means such a machine will have no loss of energy. 0% is the loss of energy. No loss of energy would be taken. That is, work output is exactly equal to the work input. Whatever energy you are putting into the machine without any loss of energy is changing the same energy into the useful energy. That means there is no loss of energy taking place. So the ideal machine is the machine whose efficiency is 1 or 100%. Such a machine practically not possible. That's why we say no machine is 100%, no practical machine is 100% efficient. The reason is because in a machine there is always loss of energy. There is energy degradation always will be taking place due to friction. Mainly friction is an evil. Due to friction, sometimes radiations causes loss of energy while we are converting one form of energy into the other form of energy. Particularly in a machine we will have movable parts. Those parts, movable parts of the machine will offer friction, and the friction will cause loss of energy. So no practical machine is 100% efficient. Normally for practical machine we write like this: practical machine efficiency will be less than 1 or less than 100%. We write like this. What is an ideal machine? The machine whose efficiency is 1. What is a practical machine? The machine whose efficiency is less than 1. Can efficiency of a machine be greater than 1 ever? The answer is no, because if it is more than 1, that means your work output is more than the work input, which will go against the law of conservation of energy. You can't create extra amount of energy. Whatever energy you supply, at the most you can get the same amount of energy, at the most, at the maximum, but you can't have the energy more than that. That will go against the law of conservation of energy. So that is not possible, because it will violate the law of conservation of energy. So this is efficiency, definition of efficiency. And now we have an important relationship. We write like this: relationship between MA, VR and efficiency, which we are denoting by the symbol eta, like this. How to find relationship between them? You learn the derivations. If derivation they ask to show, then we will be showing the steps of derivations. Otherwise we can just directly write down the relationship. Let us start with the definition of efficiency. Efficiency eta is equal to, first I will be writing here work output by work input. First I will be writing that. Continuation of that. Now work formula is force into distance. What force is present in the output side, which the machine overcomes? Machine overcomes load, so the force will be load, and the distance moved by the load will be the displacement, dl. So L into dl we will be writing. Work input, what force we apply on the machine? The force applied on the machine is called effort. So I will be writing an effort into distance moved by the effort, dE. We know the, please see the definition of MA. MA is the ratio of load to the effort. L by E is becoming MA, because MA is equal to L by E, load by effort. And please see the definition of velocity ratio, VR. VR was the ratio of dE by dl, and now here we are seeing dl by d, just the reciprocal of that. That means dl by d is the value of 1 by VR, reciprocal of VR, reciprocal. That means efficiency is equal to, finally we can write MA by VR. This is how we derive relationship. Efficiency formula we have MA by VR. And percentage wise, or we write percentage, efficiency is equal to, converting into percentage forms, we write MA by VR into 100 percentage. Now the answer will be expressed in terms of percentage into 100%. Normally we express in terms of percentage efficiency. So what is the relationship between MA, VR and efficiency? We write on this relation. Efficiency is equal to MA upon VR. If they ask you just state the relationship, we just write efficiency is equal to MA by VR. If they ask you derive the relationship between MA, VR and efficiency, we will be showing the steps of derivation. From here we will start and we will end up till here, or we can express even in that format. Now let us check what is an ideal machine. As I just mentioned, an ideal machine is the machine whose efficiency is 1 or 100%. If you put efficiency value 1, then MA will be equal to VR. That means we can write the relation like this: for ideal machine, MA equal to VR. We can write like this. If question comes, what is an ideal machine? We can say even this: an ideal machine is the machine whose MA and VR are equal. We can even say that. Or we can say the ideal machine is the machine whose efficiency is 100% or is equal to 1, or the machine in which there is no loss of energy. So any one of the terms can be used for defining ideal machine. For practical machine, you will find MA, because efficiency is less than 1, that means MA will be less than VR. If question comes, how are MA and VR of a machine? How are MA and VR for an ideal machine related to each other? We write MA equal to VR, and for a practical machine related to each other, that time we write MA less than VR. Can MA ever be greater than VR? The answer is no. If that happens, then the efficiency of machine will be greater than 100% or will be greater than 1, which is not possible because it goes against the law of conservation of energy. So this is a relationship. So efficiency is equal to MA upon VR, and for ideal machine we write MA equal to VR, and for practical machine we write MA less than VR. What is the working principle of a machine? We say a machine works on the principle of conservation of energy. That means a machine does not create its own energy. First we have to supply the energy into the machine, and then machine makes use of that energy and does the useful work. And of course during that process there is a loss of energy due to friction and radiation. Mainly friction and radiations are responsible for the loss of energy. That means your work output is practically not equal to the work input, or the energy input will not be equal to the energy output in a machine. There will be unwanted sound, unwanted heat and all generated there. So these are the various types of energy degradation taking place during the input and the output. Now they very often they ask this question: MA, VR and efficiency. These are the three ratios related to a machine. Out of these three ratios, which one of the ratio does not change for a specially designed machine, for a particularly designed machine? We say VR. VR does not change for a particular machine, does not change. Whereas MA of a machine can be changed, efficiency can also be changed, but it is VR which we cannot change, or which does not change for a particular or for a specially designed machine. You can think this, you can think about it in this manner. Efficiency we can increase, but we can't increase and make it more than 100%. Suppose the efficiency of a machine is 60%, we can further increase and make it 80% or maybe even 90% by reducing friction. What are the ways of reducing friction? We know the ways of reducing friction is by lubrication, by oiling, by using grease and all. No, we can reduce the frictions. Once the friction reduces, then the efficiency of the machine increases. When the efficiency changes or the increases, then mechanical advantage also increases. But it is the distance moved by the load and the effort which will not change. That means velocity ratio will not change. So name 3 ratios related to a machine. If question comes this way, then the answer is the 3 ratios related to a machine are MA, VR and efficiency. Out of these 3 ratios, which of them does not change for a particular machine, we say VR. Though we can change efficiency, and when efficiency changes, then MA also changes, whereas velocity ratio does not change. So thank you, my dear students. For today our lesson is this much. In the next class I will be discussing about the other topic of the same chapter, liver. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, children. So today we are going to do the penultimate poem in the series of what we have done in these online classes. And the last but one poem that we will be doing today is The Bangle Sellers by Sarojini Naidu. First of all, let me tell you that this is also a lyrical poem. As I had told you earlier, a lyrical poem or a lyric is a poem which can be sung along with a musical instrument called the lyre, L-Y-R-E. Such poems which can be sung is called a lyric or a lyrical poem. Thus, The Bangle Sellers is a lyric. Now, in brief, let me first tell you what is the poem about. The poem is dealing with the lives of the poor bangle sellers, their hard work. The poem is also about bangles. The poem is also about the significance of the various colored bangles in the Indian context, that is, in the lives of Indian women. And from the second stanza till the end, the poetess is describing the 3 stages in a woman's life. Let me tell you one thing. Even though the title of the poem is The Bangle Sellers, except for the first few lines, the poem doesn't talk much about the bangle sellers. The poem talks more about bangles. The poem talks more about the 3 stages in the life of an Indian woman. So in a way, the title of the poem is a bit inappropriate. If the title had been Bangles, it would have been more suitable, because the poem is not just about the bangle sellers. The next point that you will have to remember is this poem, like all the poems of Sarojini Naidu, it is typically Indian in nature. It deals with the bangle sellers in India. It deals with the hard work put in by the bangle sellers. It deals with how significant are the bangles in the lives of Indian women. And the poem also deals with the three stages in the life of Indian women. Therefore, there is that typical Indianness in the poem The Bangle Sellers. Before I begin with the poem, one thing you will have to be very, very careful about this poem is filled with imageries. This poem is filled with symbolisms. The poem is filled with figures of speeches. Identification of these in the poem is very, very important as far as examination is concerned. That is why you need to be very careful and very, very attentive when I am talking about the figures of speech. Now, as I told you, this poem begins with the bangle sellers, then moves on to something else. That is why the poem begins with, "Bangle sellers are we who bear our shining loads to the temple fair." You will notice in the title of the poem you have the plural sellers, and in the first line of the poem you have the word we. That means the poetess is not talking about one particular bangle seller, but she is talking about the bangle sellers in general. That is why the plural we. In the first line, imagine the bangle sellers are saying that we are the bangle sellers who bear or carry the loads of bangles on our head and go to the temple fair or mela to sell our bangles. You will notice that the bangles are described as shining loads. Why are they shining? Because these bangles are bright, sparkling, and colorful. And these bangle sellers go to these temple fairs where crowds gather, and obviously where there is a bigger crowd, there is the chance of getting more customers to sell the bangles. Who will buy these delicate, bright, rainbow-tinted circles of light? Question mark. This is what the bangle sellers shout in order to attract customers. They shout and say, who all are eager, who all are interested to buy our colorful bangles? Please, all of you who are prospective customers, please come to us and buy these colorful bangles. The question mark is because the bangle sellers are attracting customers by shouting about the goods or the items that they are selling, and that is nothing but the colorful bangles. Again, you will see, instead of bangles, the poetess is using this phrase, bright rainbow-tinted circles of light. Circles because you know that bangles are circular. And why are they rainbow-tinted? Just as a rainbow has many colors, these bangle sellers are selling bangles of many colors, of different colors. Lustrous tokens of radiant lives for happy daughters and happy wives. Again, you will notice that the bangles have been described using another phrase, lustrous tokens. These bangles are lustrous, bright, sparkling symbols of joy and happiness in the lives of the daughters, that means unmarried girls. They are also symbols of joy and happiness in the lives of married wives or women. Now, in these last two lines, you must understand the Indianness in the poem. These bangles occupy a very important position in Indian culture and tradition. These many-colored bangles are just not ornamental. They also have significance. They are considered to be auspicious in Indian culture. They have spiritual values and significance in Indian culture. These bangles are also symbols of joy, happiness, pleasure in the lives of Indian women, whether married or unmarried. So you see, the bangles have a very important position in India, in Indian culture and tradition, and that is why I had told you about the Indianness in the poem. Now see, I was talking about the bangles being described in different ways, like they are referred to as shining, sparkling, bright loads. They are referred to as rainbow-tinted circles of light. That means they are circular, spherical, and also they are of many colors like the rainbow. I had told you that they are lustrous tokens, meaning they are bright symbols of happiness and joy in the lives of Indian women. These three are metaphors because there is an implied comparison. The colors, the different colors of the bangles are like the different colors of the rainbow. They are as shining and bright as the sun. They are as bright and lustrous as the sun, and they are also like symbols of joy and happiness in the lives of Indian women. So because of the implied comparisons, these are all examples of metaphor. Now you see, I come to the symbolic aspect in the first stanza. I told you that the bangles are not just ornamental. Women don't wear them just to look attractive and beautiful. In the Indian context, these bangles are considered to be auspicious, spiritual. They are symbols of happiness, joy, and pleasure. And therefore, because it is described in the Indian context, there is an Indianness in the poem. What do you see? I told you that the poem is more about bangles and women than about the bangle sellers. Barely the first 4 lines are dedicated to the bangle sellers. Then we come to the bangles, then we come to Indian women, and then we come to the significance of these bangles in the lives of Indian women. Now we move on to the second stanza, and from the second stanza begins the 3 stages in the life of an Indian woman. In the second stanza, the first stage is described, which is maidenhood, referred to the unmarried girls. Some are meet for a maiden's wrist, silver and blue as the mountain mist. You know, young unmarried girls or maidens generally buy bangles which are silvery and blue in color. They are meet, meaning suitable for the wrists of these unmarried girls. Now here, a simile has been used to describe, and we will come to its significance. If you will see, silver and blue as the mountain mist, as I told you, is a simile because you have the word as used for the comparison. What is it? The bangles which the girls buy are silvery and blue in color. They are as blue and silvery as the color of the mist or fog that accumulates on mountain tops. So, the color of the mist on mountain tops, that color is referred to as silver and blue, and these are the two colors which are preferred by the girls when they buy bangles. Now, look at the significance of the colors. Silver and blue, they are symbols of purity, chastity, and innocence. These unmarried girls are pure, they are chaste, they are innocent because they are very, very young and delicate. Some are flushed like the buds that dream on the tranquil brow of a woodland stream. In these two lines, there is again a simile, flushed like the buds that dream. You have the word like, therefore it is a simile. Remember, the poetess is referring to the pink color. So, unmarried girls also buy bangles which are pink in color. Now, how is she describing this comparison? Flushed like the buds that dream? The poetess is saying, just as buds dream of blooming into flowers, maidens or unmarried girls also dream of ripening or maturing into womanhood and then lead a happy married life. I repeat, some of the bangles which the girls buy are pinkish in color. They are pink like the buds of flowers that bloom on the peaceful, tranquil banks of a stream flowing through a forest. Just as the buds are waiting to bloom into flowers, these young girls are also like buds waiting to bloom, ripen, and mature into adult women and then get married and lead a happy life. Just let me tell you, this color pink is associated with freshness. That means these girls, these maidens are fresh because they are young. Some are aglow with the bloom that cleaves to the limpid glory of newborn leaves. The other color which is associated in the second stanza is green. The young girls also buy bangles which are greenish in color. And what is the poetess talking about that color? She is saying that during spring, when fresh leaves hang or stick to the branches of the trees, these fresh leaves are pure, clear, absolutely spotlessly green in color. The spotless, clear green color of the fresh spring leaves is the color of which the girls buy bangles. So the color referred to is green. And again, the color green, like the color pink, is symbolic of their youth and freshness. So 4 colors are mentioned in stanza 2 associated with maidenhood: silver, blue, pinkish, and green. Silver and blue are symbols of purity, chastity, and innocence. Pink and green are symbolic of their youth and freshness. That was stage 1. Again, you will see flushed like the buds that dream, and silver and blue as the mountain mist. Remember, there are 2 similes in the second stanza. Now we move on to the third stanza. Some are like fields of sunlit corn. Imagine a cornfield brightened by the sunlight. What is its color? Yellow. Now we move on to the second stage in the life of an Indian woman, and that second stage is the bridal stage. The time when these girls are getting married. And these brides buy bangles, first of all, which are yellow in color, as yellow as the cornfields brightened by the sun rays. So in the very first line, you have a figure of speech and also the symbolic significance. First of all, let me tell you, yellow is symbolic of hope. That means these brides who are soon to get married are hoping for a happy married life. And you will notice, some are like fields of sunlit corn, meaning like fields of sunlit corn. Because there is the word like, you have the simile. So the yellow colored bangles which these brides buy are like fields of corn brightened by the rays of the sun. Meet for a bride on her bridal morn. Meet meaning proper, suitable. So yellow colored bangles are suitable for a bride to be worn on the morning of their marriage. Some like the flame of her marriage fire. What is the color of a flame? Reddish. So brides also buy bangles which are red in color, as red as the flames of the fire, the marriage fire around which, according to the Indian tradition, they take the rounds before vowing to be husband and wife. In this line also, there is a simile. Again, the word like the flame of her marriage fire, meaning the red color of the bangle which the brides buy is compared to the color of the flames of the marriage fire. Now, what is the symbolic significance of the color red? Brides wear red-colored bangles. Red symbolizes love and passion. Obviously, a bride has to have a heart filled with love and passion because she is getting married. Or rich with the hue of her heart's desire. This is what I was telling you. This red color or hue is representing the burning passion, excitement, love that she has in her heart, and the love and the passion that she is ready to give and share with her future husband. Obviously, when the girl is getting married, She has a dream. She has a desire. She has the hope of a happy married life. She is ready to share her love and passion, to shower her love and passion on her newly wed husband. Tinkling, luminous, tender, and clear, like her bridal laughter and bridal tear. Now, again, let me tell you, look at the last line. Again, you have the word like. Tinkling, luminous, tender, and clear, like her bridal laughter and bridal tear. Something is compared to something with the help of the word like. That is why, again, you have a simile. Now let us see what is that simile, what is that comparison. Tinkling is the sound of the bangles. Luminous means bright. Tender means delicate. Clear means fresh, pure. Now see, in the last line, like her bridal laughter and bridal tear. Now listen carefully. On the day of the marriage, obviously the bride is happy because she is stepping into another phase of her life. So she is laughing. The sound of her laughter is compared to the tinkling sound made by the bangles that she is wearing. That is number one. On the same day, not only does she laugh, she also cries. She sheds tears because, according to the Indian tradition, the married girl or the bride is going to leave her parental home forever to go to the house of the in-laws. Because she is leaving the parental home forever, she is crying. She is crying. And the teardrops that she is shedding, those teardrops are delicate, tender, fresh, pure, like pearl drops. And the purity, the freshness, the teardrops which are delicate and tender, these are associated with the tenderness, the delicate nature, the purity and the freshness of the bangles that she is wearing. Now we move on to the last stanza. Before I move on to the last stanza, let me tell you something here. Look at the last line of the third stanza. Like her bridal laughter and bridal tear. Laughter and tear. This is a paradox. What you do and what the result is, they are opposites. That is a paradox. You study hard but fail. That's a paradox. Here, look at the paradox. On the marriage day, she laughs but also cries at the same time. The paradox is, it is a happy occasion because she is stepping into a new phase of life. But at the same time, it is a sad day, a sorrowful day, because she is leaving that home where she had been born and she had grown up. She was leaving that house, leaving her parents and siblings forever to start a new life. Now we move on to stanza 4, the last stanza. And the last stanza is depicting the last stage in the life of an Indian woman, the third stage, which is middle age, when the woman is already a mother and a wife. Some are purple and gold-flecked gray. Middle-aged women buy bangles which are purple in color and which are gold spotted with gray. These are the colors of bangles which a middle-aged woman buys. Now again, these colors have symbolic significance. purple and gold spotted with gray, they are symbols of maturity, experience, dignity, honor, self-respect, authority, wisdom, and you can add power also. I will come to these again. For she who has journeyed through life midway, she has already journeyed half of her life. She is now in her middle age. In these years, she has become matured. She has gained experience. She is dignified. She is honored. She is respected. She has authority. She has power. She has become wise. These colors represent these qualities. Whose hands have cherished, whose love has blessed. She has nurtured her children with her own hands. She has taken care of her children with her own hands. She has blessed her children as a mother. Obviously, she has been very devoted, dedicated, dutiful in whatever she had to do as a mother and as a wife, and cradled fair sons on her faithful breast. Imagine, she had fed her sons with her own breast milk and helped in their upbringing and growing up. We are what we are today because of the care, love, devotion, dedication showered on us by our mothers. So the third stage is also about motherhood. Her dedication, devotion, care, love, affection, both for her children as well as for her husband. The husband comes in the end. And serves her household in fruitful pride. She serves her household because she looks after the household. She is proud of what she has done because it is because of her sacrifice, her dedication, her devotion that the house is what it is today. There is an element of hidden pride in her heart because it is for her that the children have what they are today, and worships the gods at her husband's side. Several things come out in the last line. First of all, it's not that the mother neglects the husband just by devoting her time to the children. No. She is always there by the side of her husband. She is a pillar of support for her husband, whether in household matters, whether in religious matters, whether in other matters related to our journey of life. She is always there as a pillar of strength and support for her husband. And the other thing that comes out is worships the gods. It shows the religiosity, the religious devotion in the lives of Indian women. So, the concluding stanza is about the final stage in the life of a woman, the middle age, when she is a mother and a wife, equally devoted to her household, children, and husband. And with age, she has not only become dedicated, devoted, responsible, dutiful, she has also gained these things, these qualities: maturity, experience, dignity, honor, self-respect, authority, and wisdom. And as I told you, power also. The last thing, the last figure of speech, remember imageries. The colors of the bangles described in the poem, be it blue, be it silvery, be it pink, be it green, be it yellow, be it red, be it purple, be it gold spotted with gray, all these are imageries representative of the various stages in the life of an Indian woman. That is what I was telling you. When I conclude, I would like to say that the title of the poem is not so appropriate. You see, the poem is not describing the bangle sellers. It's describing the bangles. It is describing the colors of the bangles. It is describing the significance of the bangles in the lives of Indian women. And it is also describing the three stages in the lives of Indian women. So it is more about bangles. It is more about Indian women rather than the bangle sellers. So if in ICSE, if you are asked, do you agree with the title of the poem? Give reason to justify your answer. You will say you don't agree with the title because the poem is not about bangle sellers. The poem is more about bangles and women. And therefore, the title would have been appropriate if it was bangles. And remember that the poem deals with the poor bangle sellers, their hard, difficult life, the significance of the bangles in the context of Indian women, and the three stages in the lives of Indian women: maidenhood, the bridal stage, and the middle age. These are the three stages described in the second, third, and fourth stanzas. And be very careful with the figures of speech, the metaphors, the symbolisms, the similes, and the imageries. The last thing. Here is another figure of speech. Third stanza, second last line. Tinkling. This word is the sound of the bangles, the sound of the laughter of the bride. A sound conveying the sense, like pitter patter raindrops. Pitter patter is related to rain. When the sound conveys the sense, you have a figure of speech called the onomatopoeia. And this word tinkling is an example of onomatopoeia, the sound conveying the sense, the tinkling sound of the bangles as compared to the tinkling sound of the laughter of the bride on her marriage day. So be careful with the figures of speech, the colors of the bangles, the significance of those colors, and how they are associated with the three stages in the lives of Indian women. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay home till we meet again.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to start another important topic called median. So here in median you have to know two formula. If n is odd, so median will be, the formula for median will be n plus 1 divided by 2 th observation or terms. You can write anything, number 1. And number 2, if n is even, median equals to n by 2 th observation plus n by 2 plus 1 th observation, everything is divided by 2. This is the formula. Now let us do today's first question. Find the median from the following numbers: 3, 5, 0, 4, 8, 7, 6, 2, 8. So question number 1, 3, 5, 0, 4, 8, 7, 6, 2, 8. Now, in median, first you have to arrange the number in ascending order. That means small to big. 0. After that, 2. After that, 3. After that, 4. After that, 5. After that, 6. After that, 7. After that, 8. 2 times. Now count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That means 9 means odd number. 9 means odd number. 9 means odd number. So odd number means this formula you have to apply. So median equals to n plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. You have to write this th observation. Now n means 9. 9 plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. Now 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 divided by 2 means fifth observation. So fifth observation means what is the answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the answer. Fifth observation means 5, which is the answer. Now next number. Same question. Same question. Find the median from the following numbers. Write the number 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 6, 0, 2, 2, 3. 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 6, 0, 2, 2, 3. Now, first you have to arrange the number in ascending order. 0. After that 1. Now 2. How many times? 3 times. Here you can find mode also. 2, 3 times. After that 3. How many times? 2 times. After that 4. After that 5. After that 6. Now count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means n equals to 10, which is even number. Therefore, median equals to formula is n by 2 th observation plus n by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. Now n means 10. 10 divided by 2 th observation plus 10 divided by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. Now if you cancel it, you will get fifth observation plus 5 plus 1 is sixth observation divided by 2. Now fifth observation means from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 plus sixth means 3. 2 plus 3 divided by 2 is 5 by 2 means 2.5. So median is 2.5. Here you can find mode also. Mode means whichever number is repeating. Here 2 is 3 times. Therefore mode you can write 2. Therefore mode is 2 and median is 2.5. Okay, now question number 3. Question number 3. Again, you have to find out median. But in this question, x and f is given. You have to find out median. X. After that, f. So x is 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58. After that, frequency. Frequency is 7, 5, 8, 12, 10, 2, 1. Now, to find mean, we know that it is fx. That fx is for mean. Now you have to find out CF, means cumulative frequency. So how to find cumulative frequency? That's very important. You first copy this value as it is. That means you have to write 7, which is first frequency. Now add this 7 plus 5, 12, 12 plus 8, 20, 20 plus 12, 32, 32 plus 10, 42, 42 plus 2, 44, 44 plus 1 is 45. That means this is also 45. Whatever is the last value for CF, total CF is also same, which is 45. Now 45 means what type of number is 45? Obviously 45 is odd number. So median equals to n plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. 45 plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. 45 plus 1 is 46. 46, okay, 46 divided by 2 th observation. Now 46 divided by 2 is 23rd observation. Now 23rd observation means you find out from CF. 23rd observation is not here, okay. Therefore you have to take nearest for 23rd, which means it comes in between 20 and 32. 23rd means it will come under 20 and 32. You cannot take this value 20 because this 20 is less than your observation. So if not 20, you have to take 32. That means answer is 52. Answer is 52. Why 52? Because your observation is 23rd. So 23rd will come in between 20 and 32. You cannot take 20 because 20 is less than your observation. If not 20, so next immediate higher number is 32 means 52. All the answers are here. And you can find mode also. In previous question, it was maximum repeating number. Here, highest frequency. So what is the highest frequency? Highest frequency is 12. Again, 12 means 52. Okay, now next question. In median only you need to understand whether it's odd or even. If it is odd, you have to apply odd formula. If it is even, then you have to apply different formula. Now this is x and this is f. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that, frequency 2, 4, 7, 6, 8, 3. Obviously, third column is CF. So find out CF. 2 plus 4, 6 plus 7, 13 plus 6, 19 plus 8, 27 plus 3 is 30. Therefore, n is also 30. Now, 30 means even number. So, if it is even number, formula is different. Either you will get odd or even. N by 2 th observation plus n by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. divided by 2. Now n means 30 divided by 2, th observation. You have to write this th and observation again. 30 divided by 2 plus 1, th observation divided by 2. If you cancel this, you will get 15th observation plus, again if you cancel this, you will get 15 plus 1 is 16th observation divided by 2. Now 15th observation, you find out from this column. 15th is not there. Again 16th also is not there. Again 15 and 16 means it will come under these two. Okay, again you cannot take 13 because 13 is less than your observation. So if not 13, you have to take the immediate higher number, that is 19. So 19 means what? 3. Okay, I'll do here 3. 3 plus 3 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 means 3. So median is 3. Now mode. What is the highest frequency? Highest frequency is 8. 8 means 4. So if it is asked, you write mode equals to 4. Now with this basic, we have understood how to find mean, how to find median, and how to find mode. Now we'll do some important question. And the first question is, calculate mean, median, and mode from the following. In the first class, we found only mean. Today I am teaching you how to find median and mode. So in the actual or real question, you have to find out mean, median, and mode from this value. Okay, so what is the number? 3, 1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 3, 7, 2. 7, 2. Now how to find mean? Mean means sum of all the numbers divided by number of observation. It means you have to add 3 plus 1 plus 5 plus 6 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3 plus 7 plus 2 divided by, count the number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now add it. 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 5, 9, plus 6, 15, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22 plus 5, 27, 27 plus 3, 30, 37 plus 2 is 39 divided by 10, which comes 3.9. This is the answer for mean. Now the next question is median, and I have told you for median you have to arrange the number in ascending order. That means small to big. So what is the lowest number out here? Which is 1. After that 2. 2. After that 3. How many times? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. After that 4. After that 5. How many times? 2 times. 5. After that 6. After that 7. Now count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means n equals to 10. Here either you will get odd number or even number. That's all. Now 10 means even number. 10 means even number. So if it is even number, formula is median equals to n by 2 th observation plus n by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. Now 10 divided by 2 observation plus 10 divided by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. Now 10 by 2 is 5th observation plus 5 plus 1 is 6th observation divided by 2. Now 5th means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. 3 plus 4. 6 means 4 divided by 2 equals to 7 divided by 2 means 3.5. After that, the third question is mode. So mode will be, I have told you before, maximum repeating number 3, because 3 is 3 times. Therefore, mode equals to 3. Now, from this question number C, all the questions are important. One question is sure shot in ICSE 2021 under section A. Now, next number. Okay, now next question. Again, question is same. You have to find out mean, median and mode. So first, the value of x is given, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. After that, frequency. After that, frequency. Frequency is 3, 9, 6, 4, 2, 1. Now here you have to find out mean, median and mode together. So for mean, the next column will be fx. Simply you have to multiply f and x. 5 3s are 15, 6 9s are 54, 7 6s are 42, 8 4s are 32, 9 2s are 18, 10 1s are 10. After that, write sigma fx or summation fx means you have to add everything. If you add it, you'll get 171. After that, frequency sigma f equals to, if you add it, you will get 25. Therefore, mean equals to sigma fx divided by sigma f, which is 171 divided by 25. You will get, if you divide it, you will get 6.84, which is the value of mean. Now, the next question is median. Again, here you have to find out cumulative frequency for median. Okay, so first frequency is 3. 3 plus 9, 12. 12 plus 6, 18. 18 plus 4, 22. 22 plus 2, 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. Again, 25 means odd number. So if it is odd, I'll do here. If it is odd, median will be, what is the formula? Median equals to n plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. Obviously, n is 25. 25 plus 1 divided by 2. 26 divided by 2 means 13th observation. Again, 13th observation means find out from CF column. Since 13 is not here, so you have to take 13 will come in between 12 and 18. So you cannot take 12 because 12 is less than your observation. That means you have to take 18. 18 means 7. So 13th observation is also 7, which is median. This is question number 2. Now, question number 3, you have to find out mode. In the previous question, mode was maximum repeating number. Here, mode means the highest frequency. Both are same. What is highest frequency? Highest frequency is 9. 9 means 6. All the answers are here. 9 means 6. So mode is 6, median is 7 and mean is 6.84. Now, next question. Here, the median of the observation 11, 12, 14, x minus 2, x plus 4, x plus 9, 32, 38, 47 arranged in ascending order is 24. Find the value of x and hence find mean. Here, with the help of median, you have to find out x. So after getting x, put the value and find out mean. The numbers are 11, 12, 14, x minus 2, x plus 4, x plus 9, After that 32, 38, after that 47. Okay, now count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. N equals to 9. 9 means odd number. Okay, now formula is median equals to n plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. Now the value of median is already given, which is 24. 24 equals to n means 9. 9 plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. So 24 equals to 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5th observation. So 24 equals to 5th observation means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, x plus 4. If you take 4 this side, you will get minus 4. So 24 minus 4 is 20, which is the value of x. This is the first part. Now second part, hence find mean. Now to find mean, you have to add everything. Mean equals to, what is the first value? 11 plus 12 plus 14 plus, now x minus 2, 20 minus 2, 18 plus, similarly 24 plus 29 plus 32 plus 38 plus 47, 47 divided by 9. So if you divide this, you will get 225 divided by 9, which comes 25. Okay, now next number. The mean of the following observation is 68. Find the value of x, and after getting x you have to find out median. This is just opposite of this question. Here median was given. With the help of median we found x. So after getting x we found mean. Now in this question mean is given, you have to find out x, then you have to find out median. Okay, what is the number? 45, after that 52, 60, x, 69, 70, 26, 81, and last number is 94. Now mean equals to, you have to add everything, because formula is sum of all the numbers divided by number of observation. 45 plus 52 plus 60 plus x plus 69 plus 70 plus 26 plus 81 plus 94 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 divided by 9. Now the value of mean is given, which is 68. 68 equals to x plus, if you add everything you will get, 497 divided by 9. Now after that you have to cross multiply. 672 minus 497 equals to x. So answer is 115 equals to x, which is the first answer. Now you have to find out median. For median, always you have to arrange the number in ascending order. That means what is the lowest number out here? 26. After that 45. After that 52, 60. After that x, because x is 115, so you have to write 69, 70, we have already written 26, 81, after that 94, and the last number is 115. Now count it, it is obviously 9, so n equals to 9, which is odd number. which is odd number. Then find out median. Median equals to, formula is n plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. Now the value of n is 9. 9 plus 1 divided by 2 th observation. 9 plus 1 is 10, divided by 2 is fifth observation. Now fifth observation means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 69 is the answer. With the help of mean, we found x, which was 115. After that, we have to arrange the number in ascending order for median. Then n is 9. So this is the formula for odd. Put the value, you will get fifth observation. Fifth observation means 69. Okay, now next question. Next question. All these questions are important for ICSE 2021. The numbers 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 and x are arranged in ascending order. If the mean of the observation is equal to the median, find the value of x. Here the key point is mean of the observation is equal to median. That means mean and median is equal. So you first find out mean, then you find out median, you will get the answer. So what is the number? 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 and x. So first find out mean. Mean equals to 6 plus 8 plus 10 plus 12 plus 13 plus x divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by 6. So if you add it, you will get 6, 8, 14, 20, 49. 49 plus x divided by 6. This is the value of mean. This is the value of mean. Now you have to find out median. Since it is already arranged in ascending order and n is 6 means even number. That means for median, this is the formula, even number, n by 2 th observation plus n by 2 plus 1 divided by 2 th observation divided by 2. Now put the value of n, 6. 6 divided by 2 th observation plus 6 divided by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. If you cancel it, you will get third observation plus cancel it, you will get 3 plus 1 fourth observation divided by 2. Now third observation means 1, 2, 3, 10 plus 12 divided by 2. 10 plus 12, 22 divided by 2 is 11. This is the answer of median. Now according to your question, it is given mean is equals to median. So what is the value of mean? 49 plus x divided by 6 equals to 11. 49 plus x equals to 66. X equals to 66 minus 49 equals to 17. Okay, last question. This is also same. Median is given 48. You have to find out x, and after getting x, this time you have to find out mode, and the number is 13, 35, 43, after that 46 x, after that x plus 4, after that 55, after that 61, after that 71, after that 80, after that 80. Now count it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again n equals to 10. N equals to 10, again this is even number. N equals to 10, this is even number. So if it is even number, formula is median equals to n by 2 th observation plus n by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. Now the value of median is given, which is 48. 48 equals to, put the value of n, which is 10. 10 by 2 th observation plus 10 by 2 plus 1 th observation divided by 2. Now 48 equals to fifth observation plus sixth observation divided by 2. Now 48 equals to, what is fifth observation? Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that means x, plus sixth is x plus 4 divided by 2. Now 2 into 48, 96 equals to x plus x, 2x plus 4. 96 minus 4 is equal to 2x. 92 is equal to 2x. 46 is equal to x, which is the first question. After that, in the next question, you have to find out mode. Mode means maximum repeating number. A maximum repeating number means one more 46 is there. You also got 46. That means here in this question, 46 is the only number who is repeating 2 times. So therefore, your mode is also 46. This much for today. Thank you very much. Please revise shortcut method and straight derivation method, and whatever question I have done, you will get 2 questions confirmed in ICSE 2021. Thank you very much.